At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Happy Hump Day to you all. It's Wednesday, January 7th. We're in the middle of the week here, getting ready to get the second half of the week, get into the weekend. I'm excited. Of course, my son Aiden has his first alpine practice this Friday. He's going to be heading out to the hill. He'll be doing that. Of course, got stuff going on the weekend. He's got his first race next Monday. I mean, it's all in full swing. And we got snow up on the mountain. There's a little bit more snow on the mountain here in the forecast. Now, you look at the radar this morning, and this is pretty much what was anticipated when I was talking about it yesterday evening. And that is the first wave coming through is going to be very weak. And that's essentially what's happened. We did see a little bit of rainfall for those of you along the coast. But as expected, it moves over that coastal range, over the Marble Mountains, just breaks apart, and it's not doing anything for us, really. It may bring a sprinkle or two for parts of the valley, but that's going to be the extent of it. But this is the first in a series of two waves coming through. The second one comes in later this afternoon and evening, and that's going to be a little bit more potent. It's going to be colder, it's going to have a bit more rainfall, especially for the coast, and more snow, and some fairly low snow levels at that. Now, we're also starting off with some patchy fog in the Redding area. You may have noticed if you're out and about. If not, do note, especially if you're in the Redding area, you may run into some patchy, dense fog in some areas here. So be prepared for that potential. Now, as you head south, you can see it's not quite as bad. In fact, we'll take a look at some of the cameras out there. And I'm not really seeing the fog. You can see a little bit of fog there on the camera here on Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. But you can see it's not very dense, at least there. But there may be other spots around town that may be a little bit more dense. I don't see much in the way of fog there, kind of a grainy picture of Red Bluff, but you get the idea. Taking a look at Highway 99 at Neal Road, I don't see much in the way of fog there either, but we may see that develop here. You know, we still got a couple more hours. Hey, this is a great photo. Remember, I asked you to send your photos, and Brian, he delivered. And this was a picture he took actually yesterday morning of some of that snow in some of the higher elevations. A nice little dusting, beautiful shot. And if you want to share your photos, all you have to do is send them through the free Weather NorCal app. It's simple. You can see the photo right here on Coffee with Krueger. I might even put it on the morning show that I do at 6 o'clock in the morning. Be sure to check it out. It's fun, and we get to see all the great photos all across here in Northern California. Be sure to check that out. Here's a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast for your Wednesday, January 7th. Let's get you started for the day, shall we? And of course, I'm going to take another sip of coffee. Take a sip of coffee with you this morning. Very good. All right, we got Jackie Dixon this morning, by the way. She's checking in, saying good morning, also mentioning that, oops, that was the wrong one. There we go. Jackie's saying a bit of drizzle this morning. And doesn't surprise me here, as we do have those overcast skies. And you're going to be looking at probably more in the way of rain later this afternoon, by the way, for you, Jackie, and maybe even some isolated thunderstorms. We'll get into that a little bit later, though. You can see temperatures are in the mid-40s on average for the valley, 30s and 40s for the higher elevations, and upper 40s right now for you along the coast. So this morning we are seeing fog for some of us in the valley. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies. And there you can see the mostly cloudy skies elsewhere as well. And for the coast, as confirmed by Jackie, and we do have some of that drizzle out there along the coast as well. So this is what I was talking about two waves. You see those brown dashed line, those are what we call a trough. And it's borderline a cold front, essentially what it is. So that is pushing through this morning, and that's what brought some of you along the coast some light rain. As that pushes out, we're going to be between these two waves. And we'll actually start to see some clearing and even some sunshine late this morning and midday. You may actually have to pull out your sunglasses. I was actually thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, when's the last time I had to use my sunglasses? And it's been a while. But you can see off to the north and west, though, over the Gulf of Alaska, we do have that next wave. Now, this one is going to really, it's aimed, as you can see, it's really just barreling toward the Pacific Northwest, but it is going to clip Northern California, and that's going to be not only bringing us some colder air, but also some lower snow levels and some rain, and the potential for thunderstorms, especially to the north and west. So let's take a look at our HRRR forecast model, and you can see this morning, yeah, maybe a sprinkle or two, but I tell you what, this model is being, I think, a little overly aggressive with that. And then by midday, there it is. We can see some clearing, but there's that next wave coming through. Now you see that. Again, it might be overdoing it, but you get the idea. We're going to be looking at more rain this afternoon and possible thunderstorms for the north coast. And you can also start to see that we're seeing some of that snow making its way into the higher elevations. Now, as that colder air really starts to settle in, we're going to be looking at low snow levels. And some of the lowest we've seen in a while, actually. It could drop down to about 2,500, even 2,000 feet in some cases. This would mean the potential for maybe a dusting of snow this evening, tonight, for places like Hayfork and Weaverville. But it's going to be borderline there. Highway 299 West may run into a little bit of snow. Highway 3, Scott Mountain Pass, absolutely. And there you can see some of the snow working its way into the eastern mountains as well. But keep in mind, too, we're not seeing a ton of snow out of this. Yes, I do anticipate it to impact your mountain travel, but we're not talking about 6 to 12 inches of snow. We're talking about 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches of snow. So not a major impact, but just be aware that you may run into some slick roads and some snow on those mountain highways for brief periods of time. Top of Douglas is about 46 inches. You've got groomed and rider-packed conditions out there. No chains as of yet for I-5 and Highway 89. And not much more snow on top of what we've already seen. But here's the thing, folks. The snow that we do have at the Mount Shasta Ski Park, that's going to have to last for a while because this is going to be it after today. We're looking at dry conditions after today and no chances for rain, at least for the next 10 days, if not longer. So temperatures for your Wednesday, low to mid 50s in the valley, 40s for the higher elevations, and low 50s for the coast. Tonight, yeah, let's not brush over this one. It's going to be a cold one tonight, folks. We're talking low to mid 30s. Patchy frost is a very good possibility in the valley here for tonight. So if you have any sensitive vegetation, anything of that nature, bring them inside if you can or cover them. Look at the mountains. You're in the teens and 20s tonight. It's going to be cold. So again, that second wave that's moving through today, this evening, it's a cold storm as well, and it's really going to help to usher in some colder air. I mean, look at the coast. I mean, you're dropping down to the mid to upper 30s. Listen, it's not out of the question for parts of the coast to even see some patchy frost tonight and tomorrow morning. So just kind of bear that in mind here for tonight. We're talking about rain and possible snow, but we're also talking some very cold temperatures. Now, again, after today, I've just put the word chance in there. Here's the bottom line with the rain in the valley. We're talking a trace to maybe a few hundreds, and that's all I'm expecting. There could be that off chance for an afternoon convective activity here, meaning maybe a brief period of some moderate rainfall for parts of the valley, but for the most part, you're not seeing much. And then we dry out for Thursday through the weekend into next week. And we're going to get into it and talk about it a little bit later, but I'm just going to kind of tease you with it right now. There is the potential for that two-leaf fog we saw several weeks ago to come back. We're going to talk about that in more detail a little bit later, so stick around in the deeper dive if you want to learn more about that. But there you can see we're looking at more rain. Now, most of the rain is going to be on the coast. You're talking a quarter to maybe upwards of a half an inch of rainfall, maybe those thunderstorms, and then inland areas as well. But then we dry out for Thursday, for the weekend, early next week. Now, again, these numbers are really... the snow levels are really indicative of what we're going to see today, but tonight they'll drop even lower. As I mentioned, maybe as low as 2,000, 2,500 feet. But most of any significant snow, when I say that, I mean just a couple of inches, upwards of maybe even 6 inches, is going to be above 3,000 or 4,000 feet. As you go down to 2,500 feet, you're not talking about a lot of snow there. And then, of course, it dries out as well. Oh, look at that. We got a nice little perfect timing there, looking out at Lake Oroville, overlooking the city there. Some beautiful city lights. And there you can see Lake Oroville, North Forebay. Looks like we've got those overcast skies there this morning. And we take a look at Main Street Chico on Highway 32. It looks like, I mean, you look at it, you can see the visibility, it looks like it's dropping a little bit. So the fog looks like it's trying to develop in some cases. There you can see Highway 99 at Neal Road. Plenty of traffic this morning, as we typically see this time of the day or morning. Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. Not seeing much fog there either, but you know, I'm looking out my window, I see some of that fog out there this morning. So it's going to be patchy. You may step out your door this morning and go, there's no fog, and then suddenly you're on your commute to work, suddenly you run into a patchy area of dense fog. So just be aware of that. Sutter Buttes. This has been sucked in with some fog at points in time as well, but there you can kind of see overlooking the valley. Just a couple of clouds, but not much in the way of rain, if any. Now, we are looking at some drizzle, looks like, out towards Crescent City, Harbor District this morning. And there you can see Bald Hill West looking down at Hoopa Valley. We've got some low clouds in there, but the city lights are kind of coming through that fog a little bit here. This is looking at Soto Ridge. If you look at the bottom left corner of that screen there, you can see some snow. Yeah, it's that time of the year, right? We're starting to see that snow in those higher elevations just kind of sticking around. And we can see Fort Jones, and this is Scott Valley in general, looking at, looks like if you kind of go around that bend there, you can see some of the fog that is there, so maybe developing at this point. But hey, you know, looks like not much fog right now in the Scott Valley area. Look at this. Look at this. Lassen Park. I mean, it is just dumped snow over this last several days, right? So this is an image that we typically look at every morning. You can see the pathway, you can see a bench and a picnic table. It's completely covered up. I don't have any official reports, but I mean, several feet of snow, obviously. I mean, it just dumped. And I was looking at this image a little bit earlier before the show, and it was still coming down. Looks like it has tapered off at this point, but beautiful, beautiful nonetheless. All right, let's take a look at your headlines. So one last weak storm today, and as I mentioned, it's coming in two waves. This morning, very weak one, and then a slightly stronger one coming in this afternoon and evening. Return to the fog. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail. We're already seeing a little bit of that fog this morning, but really it's down the line, and really as we go into the weekend and next week, that truly fog may return. We'll see. Dry and mild pattern in the long range here, and I mean really through the rest of the next 10 days at least, if not longer. Could be through the middle of the month actually, and as I mentioned, maybe even a little bit longer. All right, so that is a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. If that's all you needed, have a great day. If not, you want to talk more about that fog, about what we can expect in the longer range, and kind of go to that deeper dive forecast, well, that's sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids, and we'll take a look at your deeper dive after a word from Shasta Hearing Aids.
Frank, come help with the dishes.
What?
The dishes!
I heard it the first time. I just got back from Shasta Hearing Aids, but she doesn't know it yet. What?
Forget it.
All right, thanks again to Shasta Hearing Aids for their sponsorship of the Deep Dive Forecast. And let's get you right into it. Now, we're going to start with the radar. And you can see here last night, see this band? This is that disturbance that's pushing on through. So yeah, some light rain did make its way into parts of the North Coast. A lot of you were probably sleeping in bed on the coast when that moved on through. But it's moving off to the east, and as expected with these weak systems, they come over the coastal range, over the mountains, they just break apart. You don't see anything really for the valley. And, you know, again, maybe a sprinkle, maybe some light drizzle here and there. So I was talking about two waves. This is the first wave that moved through last night and early this morning. That's moving down to the south and east. We're actually getting a break between the waves, and you can see here a little dry slot. That dry slot will be moving through later this morning. We'll see some clearing. We'll get to see some sunshine. You might actually have to pull out the old sunglasses. Remember those? You may have misplaced them. You may have forgotten where you put them. They're usually in my car. That way I don't lose them. But yeah, I mean, that's something you may need today, at least midday. But then the clouds come back in with this next wave right here. And this one is mainly aimed at the Pacific Northwest. It's pushing through Washington and Oregon. That's where you're going to see the bulk of the rain, the bulk of the snow, but it is clipping Northern California. This is what I like to just call a clipper type system, because typically you see the bulk of the activity to the north, but we see the south end of that move through Northern California. So that's why we don't anticipate a ton of rain or a ton of snow out of this, but there will be some. So let's take a look at that here. We take you to around midday. There's that clearing we expect, especially for parts of the valley, but I think even some of the mountains could see some clearing as well. But notice, we're just not seeing much in the way of rain or snow at this point. So we're between those waves. But there's the next one. And so by early afternoon into mid-afternoon, it's moving through the north coast. Now, this is going to be enough where we could potentially see a thunderstorm. And that could mean brief periods of moderate to heavy rainfall, gusty winds, hail, maybe even some lightning and thunder, right? And then, of course, it's got some colder air associated with it. So snow levels today, I'm just kind of averaging around 3,000 feet. They'll probably be a little bit above that here for today, but of course we're not really even seeing any snow. But then as the colder air moves in, maybe down to about 2,500 feet, maybe a little locally lower. Listen, it's not out of the question for Hayfork, Weaverville to see a dusting of snow, but it's going to be hard pressed, right? Because you're going to be right there at that borderline. But places like Etna in Scott Valley, Fort Jones, I think you could pick up some snow. On Highway 3, Wairika, I think it might maybe pick up a little bit of snow as well. But again, keep in mind, this is not going to bring us a ton of snow. But I think most of that will be right in this area right here. So northern Trinity County, western Siskiyou, and even eastern portions of Del Norte, northern Humboldt. You remember a few days ago, we did see on Highway 199 some snow there. We could see that again here this evening and tonight. But look at the valley. The valley is getting shadowed. So what's happening is we see it kind of move over the mountains. The valley tends to get shadowed, meaning you just don't see much in the way of rain. There may be some passing showers, but then it kind of re-intensifies a little bit here as it moves over the mountains to the east. But as I mentioned, I think this is really where most of that snow will be. We're going to see less off to the east. And then by tonight, it's beginning to move out. And I expect drier conditions, maybe a leftover flurry or a shower here or there early Thursday morning. But by midday Thursday, we're done. And then we're done for a while. Now, taking a look at the forecast rainfall totals, 1/4 to 1/2 an inch in for the coast and some of the inland areas as well. And then you can see it just really tapers off as you head eastward. And that's to be expected with these clipper systems. Most of it's here, much less heading off to the east and especially for the valley. But the valley could pick up a trace to maybe a few hundreds here and there. Now, for the winter weather advisory, that's for western Siskiyou County. But for all intents and purposes, I would say I want to include northern Trinity, northeastern Del Norte, and even northeastern Humboldt County as well. So these areas right here, I think we're going to see most of that snow. Now, this winter weather advisory is for elevations above 2,500 feet, where we could see up to 6 inches of snow. But where we start seeing the above 6 inches of snow, I'd say that's probably going to be closer to, say, 3,500 feet, 4,000 feet, where you start to see those higher amounts. But places like Etna, Fort Jones, maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow is certainly not out of the realm of possibilities. But then as you head off to the east here, you're just not seeing as much. But there will be snow to the east, and you'll see that here. These are some of my estimates that I've kind of thrown in here. And just to kind of give you an idea, I think, as you can see here, a lot of these mountain communities just aren't going to see very much. And honestly, this might be overdoing it for Bernie and Fall River Mills, but we can't rule out maybe that stray, when we see those thunderstorms pass through, you see a brief period of heavy rain and then it's gone, right? So if we see a little pop-up of a heavy snow shower over places like Bernie or Fall River Mills, yeah, you could pick up a couple of inches of snow, maybe even more. But if it's just kind of a passing light snow shower, then it's probably just going to be a trace, right? So it just depends. But you see the bullseye here. This is where we're seeing most of it, and also in some of the higher elevations east of Mount Shasta, and also the Warner Mountains, seeing some of that snow too. So this is snow that could eventually have an impact on some of your mountain travel. And here's the thing. I would also anticipate places like Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain, even Berry Summit and Highway 299 West to possibly see some snow as well. Most likely not enough for chain requirements, but it may get slick at times. We'll see. And then Highway 36. Bottom line, you need to check those latest road conditions if you are going to be heading out. Let's take a look at what the forecast road conditions are looking like here, just to kind of give you an idea. So as we go through the day, see how conditions improve. We're not seeing any snow or rain by midday, but through the afternoon into tonight, now you're starting to see it overspread the region. So that's why we anticipate places like Buckhorn Summit and Highway 299 West to possibly see some light snow, not a ton. Highway 36, I-5, Scott Mountain Pass, we'll see some of that snow. Highway 97, and basically east of I-5, we'll most likely see some chain requirements as well. So that's something you've got to keep a close eye on here for tonight. And what I've done here at Weather NorCal is I've got a great website. If you haven't checked it out, go to weathernorcal.com. Now, what I've done with the road conditions section, if you scroll down, you see it right here, road conditions, right? You see the Caltrans logo there. Click right there. Now, what will happen is you'll be able to get a quick link to the quick maps where the chain requirements are, number one. But number two, all of the more popular Caltrans cameras, I have put them all in one convenient location. So you can, at a quick glance, scroll through it and see, oh, on I-5, look where it's snowing. It's snowing here, but it's not snowing there. This is an old image, so I just wanted to kind of show you an example. And this is really great if you're traveling. If you're a passenger in the car, and you want to know if it's snowing where you're going, you can check it right there from your phone. And you can do it from the app, or you can do it from weathernorcal.com on your phone as well. All right, so once we get past this rain, once we get past this snow, look what's happening. We've got high pressure beginning to build in. It's going to get drier. It's going to get warmer. Now, this will all depend what our temperatures look like if we see that two-leaf fog develop or not. Remember, I was kind of teasing you about the two-leaf fog. Remember, several weeks ago, this is the weather pattern we were under. We saw just the stagnant ridge of high pressure in place. And prior to that, we saw a lot of rainfall. So with the combination of a lot of low-level moisture, a stagnant air pattern, we saw that two-leaf fog, and it persisted all day long in many cases. We can't rule out that possibility with what's going on here, because we've seen a lot of rainfall the last few weeks, right? So we've got a lot of moisture in the ground, a lot of moisture in the lower levels of the atmosphere. You set this up, and now you've got fog developing again. So, only time will tell. We're watching it. I would say it's probably not going to be until this weekend into next week that we may start to see that develop. So just be on the lookout for that, and I'll be watching it closely. But overall, we are expecting, as we look at the Climate Prediction Center, drier than normal conditions, warmer than normal conditions. And we look at the 10-day trend, it's actually, even though we're drying things out, look how cold it's going to be. We're going to struggle to get out of the 40s tomorrow. And this is for Reading in particular, just kind of give you an example of the overall trend. Mid-50s for Friday, Saturday. But these temperatures you see here, that will depend as to whether or not that two-leaf fog develops. If the two-leaf fog doesn't develop, this is what we'll see. Temperatures upper 60s, maybe even approaching 70. But if the fog develops, we'll be probably down here, even below normal, in the upper 40s, low 50s, right? So we're going to watch it closely. We'll keep you updated. By the way, there's a high surf advisory here for the coast here. It won't take effect until 6 o'clock this evening and will last through 4 p.m. on Thursday. We can see breaking waves of 20, upwards of 25 feet. You've got the risk for sneaker waves. The lighter purple is where we have a hazardous seas warning, but that won't take effect until later on this afternoon and evening. Let's take a look at those wave heights there. You can see they are going to really start to increase, especially this evening and tonight. You see that? I mean, even we're talking 16, 20, 25 feet. All right, so here's your marine forecast. West winds at about 10 to 15 knots. Waves from the northwest at 3 feet at 4 seconds. And from the northwest at 7 feet at about 11 seconds. Hazardous seas warning by this evening. All right, here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. For Trinity County, you're talking mid to upper 40s. Now, snow levels, as I mentioned, I'm kind of averaging it out around 3,000 feet. But once that colder air moves in later this afternoon and evening, they will lower. And we're talking about possibly down to 2,500 feet and locally lower. So just kind of take that in mind, bear that in mind. 47 for Orleans, 48 degrees for Willow Creek, for Siskiyou County. You can see in Scott Valley, Fort Jones, Edna, you may see some snow. How about Happy Camp? Sure, not out of the question. Places like Wairika, Weed, Mount Shasta, Dunsmuir, McLeod, Tennant, all seeing that potential for snow, right? You've got 42 degrees in Tule Lake. And when I say that, most likely closer to this late afternoon, early evening. And of course into tonight as well. In the eastern mountains, looking at temperatures in the 40s. Of course, by the way, Modoc County too kind of brushed through that, but could also see some snow later this afternoon and evening. For the valley, we're not talking snow. We're not even really talking much rain really either, right? Just a chance under mostly cloudy skies, but there will be a point in time where we're going to see some sunshine here for today. I'll take you up to the north, about 53 degrees for Reading, 54 in Anderson, 53 out in Palo Cedro, And there you can see about 51 degrees in the city of Shasta Lake. All right, let's take a look at that 7-day forecast for Redding. And there it is. Yeah, I mean, it's cold tomorrow. And as mentioned, I mean, look at the overnight lows. Look at those temperatures at the bottom of your screen there. 32, 31, 32. But then it's, back upper 30s here by the weekend and into early next week as well. So cold, cold, cold is what we're going to be looking at here as we do get ourselves into, I'm a little scraggly this morning, aren't I? But I probably should have shaved. But I guess I just didn't feel like it. Hey, let's see what some of you are checking in this morning here. We got, who do we got here this morning? We got Terry saying, good morning, have a lovely day. I hope you do too as well. We've got Dawn saying good morning to you this morning. And we've got Fan Bell saying good morning from Old Shasta. All right, watching from Old Shasta this morning. Welcome to the show. Curtis Brown, one of our regulars, saying good morning, Mike. Ready for a break from the rain. Need to start some cleanup after the storms. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are probably going to be doing that, especially if you were impacted by flooding or, have a lot of property. For me, I just live in a typical neighborhood, right? And then we got Debbie saying, yay, sunshine. Then she also mentioned one of my students had to move because their apartment got about 6 inches of water over the break. It's terrible. I hate to hear that. Then we've got 89 will be extremely dangerous. Yeah, I think 89, Highway 89, you're talking about for snow. Yeah, probably especially later on this evening tonight. And we've got Jeremy Lawrence. Looks like we got a new person here saying, thank you for the information, Mike. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. That's what Weather NorCal is all about. Tell your friends, tell your family if they want to interact and watch a morning show while they get ready for work so they can be prepared with what's going on with the weather. This is the place to do it. And what I love about it is you can, from a Roku or even your smart TV with YouTube, you can watch this right from your big screen TV. You won't be able to interact because you're watching on your TV, but just have it on in the background when you're getting ready, getting the kids off to school, making breakfast, whatever. You can see what's going on with the weather and you can be prepared for it, no matter where you are here in Northern California. We got more people checking in this morning. All right, getting active. I love it. We've got Julia Rogers saying good morning, thank you. Well, good morning and thank you to you as well. We've got Sharon Sardison, I believe is how you'd say your name. Hopefully you didn't butcher it too much. Good morning to you. Looks like you got a nice little family there, some friends and family having a good time. Maybe it was through the holidays, and I hope you did have a good holiday season. Lisa Stevens saying, finally the Christmas lights will dry out for storage. Have a great... So I haven't taken them down yet. I'm that guy. In fact, last year, I don't think it was until this summer that I took them down. I'm going to try to get them. Maybe I'll have Aiden take them down for me. I do know I have to put my snow tires on my car because we're getting ready to head up to the mountain more often now. So yeah, a lot of things I got to do to kind of prep for all that. But yeah, it's time to maybe take the lights. I didn't do much. I just hung up some lights on the eave of the house, but that's really about it. We got Chelsea saying, dreading the fog returning. I hope it doesn't steal the sunny days from us. I hope so too. I don't want to be talking about the fog again. That was such a long stretch. Nobody liked it. I didn't like it. Nobody that I know of liked it. Well, some people did. Maybe the vegetation probably liked it. Lots of, when it's foggy like that, vegetation is getting plenty of moisture, so that's good. That's always good. So there you go. All right, well, I think that's it. I think that's all we got. Some of you here, let's have a little bit of fun. We'll take a look at, some other cameras too. Let's see what it looks like right now this morning and before we do that, let's see here. Let's get that going. I'm going to take a look. I'm loading up the camera at Mount Shasta Ski Park. Maybe you're heading out there today. Maybe not. I don't know. But it'll be fun. Check it out. This is looking out at the ski park. They are getting ready. Look at that. They got the ski lift going, ready to go. It is looking good. Looks like we're having a little bit of issues there. Let's see. We've got some other cameras we can take a look at as well. Let's get that going. There we go. All right, we'll get that out of there. It's refreshing, trying to refresh. But we do have another camera, and that is looking out at Soda Ridge. A little foggy out there. Bert is asking me this morning. He is asking, do you have any recommendations for home weather stations? Bert, honestly, I haven't really looked into it lately. I don't really stay up to date with some of the best. But, you know, there really are... Oh, I forget what it's called, but it's like a stick. Oh, man, what is it called? I can't remember. Forgive me, Bert. I don't have the answer for you. Maybe I'll have to kind of do a little research and find out more. But there's just a lot of great options, and they're just getting more and more accurate and a lot better. So I wish I had a better answer for you. I can't remember. Tempest. I think it's called Tempest. Let me look that up online. Tempest weather station. Is that it? Yeah, these are cool. And I've heard good things about them. They're not cheap, but it depends on, you know, what you want to spend. Let me look it up here for you. We'll put it up on the camera on the. It's called Tempest Weather Station. There we go, and there it is. So we'll just go right to their website. So this is really cool. What I like about it, you can see you just plop it up there on a pole, and it's got a receiver, so you can have it on your phone. And it's great. It's really great. It's got, you know, it's got an anemometer. It'll give you the wind. It'll give you rain. Rain gauges these days, they don't necessarily have anything filling up with water, but there's a sensor, and it senses the raindrops, and then from there, it calculates how much rain we saw. We're kind of past those days. The ones I remember, too, were it was like a tipping, but it tipped back and forth. The water would tip it. And then every time it tipped, it like said, okay, that was another 100th of an inch of rain or whatever. So yeah, but this is what I would recommend. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I'm actually looking at a broad camera network that will have weather stations on them, and these are what they will be using on those cameras. So they're very sophisticated, and they're good. So that's what I recommend. I'm glad I remembered now. Okay, good. There you go. Tempest. Tempest is the weather station, and I would highly recommend it. You know, I could probably do a little bit more research and maybe try to find you one that's a little bit cheaper, but that is going to be, I think, a good safe bet for you if you want something good, if you want something accurate. We got Lisa Stevens this morning saying, I like the fog as it was eerie from the home office window. Thankful didn't have to drive in it. Yeah, that's not fun. That is not fun. Curtis Brown saying, I use a WeatherFi. Oh, well, let's look that up. Let's see if Curtis has a good one. I've never heard of it. WeatherFi. Let's see if that, no. Is that it? WeatherFi, weather cloud? Is it like a cloud? Interesting. Well, I don't see where I could like buy one. Let's see here. Maybe it's an ambient weather station? No, that's just a smart Wi-Fi weather station. All right, well, WeatherFi professional weather station. Is this it? Let's see if this is it. Oh, here we go. Oh, look at that. Okay, this is the one that, let's put that up. I'm like, say, look at it, look at it. So this is the one that Curtis uses. And it's called WeatherFi. And it looks like here, I don't know exactly what this website is, but based on this website, it says it's normally about $100. But here it's showing that it's about $65.99. All right, so maybe Google WeatherFi if you want to. Sounds like Curtis enjoys it. And he gives me lots of great weather reports, and they seem pretty good and accurate. So if you're looking for a cheaper alternative, maybe try what Curtis uses and try the WeatherFi. It looks like it's one word. Yeah, WeatherFi Professional Wi-Fi Weather Station. WF7000, 7-in-1 with 14 features. Oh, Curtis is saying here, though, that the rain on this one, rainfall doesn't work very well, but I measure it manually. So, you know, maybe use it for temperatures, wind, and all that. And then maybe just get one of those old-fashioned, you know, rain gauges if you want to check out the rain, too. So, all right. Well, thank you, Curtis, for that piece of advice. Hopefully that helps you, Bert, if you are looking for a weather station, and anybody else who may have been thinking about getting a weather station. You know, you can always check that out. All right. Well, I think that should do it for us this morning. I'm glad I was able to address some of your questions here. We're going to leave you with some cameras here, such as Soda Ridge that you're seeing right here. And we will be back again tomorrow morning on Coffee with Krueger at 6:30 in the morning. Until then, have yourselves a great day, everyone.